Let's try that. Let's try that. Do, 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 do. Oh, there we go. Okay, excellent. Well, hey, thanks. Okay, thanks, Instagram world, for being patient. Hello, Facebook world. How is it going? Okay, perfect. Well, welcome to some yoga with Janelle. Sorry, that's kind of dark there, Instagram. I'm hoping that it'll just kind of adjust, because when I come close, and then it finds it and adjusts, and then when I back off, it gets real dark. But I don't know. Then at least you can see all of me. So perfect. Is that Doreen and Elisa on Facebook? I'm waiting for those comments to make sure it's actually Uzies. How are you guys doing today? You guys, I'm actually a little emotional today. Since COVID, everything shut down for me on a Tuesday. I taught a yoga class Tuesday morning, and I was scheduled to teach yoga Tuesday evening / afternoon. And this studio reached out and was just like, hey, we think that it's time for us to do what everyone else is doing and keep everyone safe and at home. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. So that Friday, I believe it was, I started doing these live Facebook videos. They started out at 8 p.m. trying to do some evening yoga because my husband was on an evening shift. And it was really hard, and I had tons of struggles, as you can see this morning. So many amazing struggles. Hey, Elisa, good morning. So good, Doreen, good morning. Couldn't miss the last class. Oh, thanks. I know, right? There was a learning curve. Let's just say that. Like, I had owned a webcam and actually a microphone I used to use until it broke or just stopped working. And it was, just a bit of a journey to create these classes, to have internet because everyone else was home. So our internet speed kept dropping in the evenings, switched these to mornings. And now here we are, 133 days later, kind of celebrating the last one. I'm hoping that things like yoga studios and just places in general can stay open with nice safety guidelines where people can come and actually safely practice their practice. And now that we've figured out so many virtual things, we can now offer these classes in the studio, or you can continue them at home and tuning in through things like Zoom, the Mind Body app. I'm still working on getting all of my classes up on the virtual system. So just stay tuned and patient for that. Teaching at Lahari, they've taken over these morning classes. They've asked me to come and teach them in their studio, which is really cool. Just kind of an opportunity to get paid for the thing that I love to do, which is ultimately the dream. I think that's the American dream summed up right there. So today, the last class, dropping a comment in on this video will get you entered to win a draw that I will do later this evening, so everyone has a chance to rewatch and get in. Hey Donna, good morning. Oh, I'm so glad you made it in. I was going to message you and make sure that you at least got in on one of these ones this week. So giving away some of the classes that I'll be doing in the studio next week. Instagram. I have my phone in a bowl. We'll see if We'll see if that works without it sliding down again. We're tripping on my lights that I have set up. Okay. So I'm going to give away some classes for freezies, as well as doing a little gift bag of just wonderful appreciation goodies. So if you've been tuning in at any point during these 133 days, you're welcome to drop a comment on these videos, and I will enter you in, and we will celebrate and have a big old party. So I'll do a little live later this evening, if not first thing tomorrow, because we'll just see what happens. Okay, excellent. So let's dive in and actually do some yoga, because that's what really this is all about, and finding a way to find a practice, maybe keep a practice going, and find some consistency. So starting off the way that we always love to, Donna, what you saying? I got so many comments happening. So happy. Oh, thanks, Donna. Aw, you guys are actually just really amazing. Okay, actually, while I have you all here, I am working on developing a yoga website. That is one of the things that is underway, and I'm looking to be able to throw some customer feedback and some kind of like little review snippets on it, as well as actually just straight up on the Facebook page. You can review my business of Real Person Yoga, which is really helpful when it comes to stuff popping up on people's news feed and getting the word out there. So if you're comfortable either A, sending a message with a little review on it, or just going right onto Facebook, then I can throw those on the website as well and gain some traction that way. Okay, enough self-promotion. So sorry, but you know, I'm starting to become a little more shameless about it, just embracing it there. Let's get into our practice this morning. So starting in either your seated or laying down position, or maybe you're just sitting on the edge of the couch, haven't quite decided whether or not you're actually going to do the yoga or just watch the yoga, because I've had that debate before as well. Just get into a position where you can actually just even connect in with the breath. If you just simply want to take a few deep inhales and exhales, that is where our practice will start today, this morning. Take that inhale breath, start to get a little bit taller, start to extend the spine, finding a little bit more length, and take that exhale, roll those shoulders back and down, starting to drop them down. And let's take another big inhale, nice full exhale. Taking one more big breath in through the nose, and seeing if you can really feel that connection of breath starting with the nose, filling the lungs, and using that diaphragm area, starting to get into that abdomen area, expanding the belly button outwards, but see if you can also expand that low back or that mid back section outwards as well, so it goes all the way around. Huge breath in, and maybe this time you sigh it out, being a little more audible. If you like to set an intention for your class, go ahead and choose that and do so now. What brings you to your mat today? What's a little word or phrase that you can hold on to during this practice and maybe speak over your practice? Maybe you repeat that word. And let's seal it in with a breath. One more big inhale through the nose. Take that exhale out through the nose. And starting to wake up the body and getting into a little wiggle of fingers, little wiggle of toes. Oh, I should have asked if you guys had any favorite poses that you've learned during this time that you want me to throw in today's class. If you do, throw them in the comments. I'll try to catch them and we can do them. I know flows are a favorite, windshield wiper is a favorite. Dawn, I don't actually know what your favorite is, but yeah, perfect. Okay. And let's start laying down. So I'm gonna roll on back and down as we're kind of waking up through the body here. Just nice and slowly making your way down. Gentle little tuck of the chin. I like to start with my knees bent, as you've heard me say many times before. It actually just feels really good on my low back, and I usually get a crack or a pop happening through there. But if I extend my legs nice and long, I feel that tension. My body's not quite ready for that length yet. So finding whatever laying down position works for you. Take a big inhale, sweep those arms up overhead. Let's take that nice, good morning stretch. Reaching up nice and tall, finding length through the fingertips, the arms, the underarms, the rib cage. All of that length all the way down to the hips. So good. Exhale. Let the arms just hang heavy overhead. Maybe now you're ready to work on extending the legs, finding a little more length. Now let's take one more good morning stretch. Nice big reach. Maybe feel that spine gently pressing up off the mat as you reach nice and tall. Maybe you point through the toes as well. And keep reaching. Let's create a little bit of tension here. Let's start to squeeze through the fingers, making fists, squeezing through the shoulders, feeling everything tighten up through the arms, a little tuck of the chin, squeezing through the glutes, surrounding the toes, everything's squeezing. And exhale, let it go. Beautiful. Let's start to hug those knees in towards the chest. Drawing them up and in, feeling how now that low back really presses in towards the ground. Nice little counter to that lengthening. You can take that little rock from side to side, giving that body just a little bit of a massage, a little bit of love. Letting it feel good. This is a great way to wake up the back line of the body, getting into all of those muscles that exist through the back. Kind of wakes up some of that proprioception and just feeling into the body. Ooh, look at that sunshine that's happening. That's wonderful. All right, let's find a little bit of stillness and just coming into a nice little hamstring stretch here. So bring the hands behind the legs, start to extend those feet up towards the ceiling. Even if it's just the toes pointing upwards, that's okay. Giant bend to the knees, just wherever your hamstrings and glutes and low back allow you to hang out. Or you can continue extending if you have a little more length that naturally exists there. Maybe you bring the soles of the feet more in line with the ceiling, holding on to the legs to add a little more ease in, or maybe you bring the hands alongside the body, forcing those lower abdominals and those hip flexors to wake up a little bit. Let's extend, maybe finding a little more length. Little flex of the feet, drawing the toes inward. Nice point of the toes. Nice flex. Then a point. Excellent. One more flex. One more nice point. Beautiful. Just bend back through the knees, planting those feet down. Noticing how the body can relax a little bit more through that midsection. Press into the feet just gently enough. See how you can kind of tuck that pelvis under so you can have really passive just laying here. And then you can start to activate it a little more. Tucking that tailbone under, really pressing that low back into the mat. Let's find a little length through the spine. You're just extending the head a little bit taller upwards. Take that exhale, soften. Engage through the core, just drawing the belly button in, and really nice and gently just pressing up into the feet. I really love bridge pose. And you can activate the whole body through this pose, which is cool. And you can really activate at any level. So you can stay really low, you'd press up a little bit higher, you find your maximum here. But feel how even here, on maybe more of this more gentle variation, we can start to work in pressing through the toes, pressing into the ball of the foot. Feel how maybe you come up a little bit higher onto the shoulders as you activate into the feet, pressing into the heels, and as well that outer edge of the foot, so that little baby toe edge all the way around the outside. Make sure you can really draw that in towards the ground, feeling so active. Maybe you feel that activating into the legs a little bit more, feeling into those quads and hamstrings. Give those glutes a little squeeze. Maybe the hips come up just a little bit higher. And then press those shoulders down, the tuck of the chin, activate through the arms, pressing the arms down as well. Wonderful bridge pose. Oh, so good, so nice and strong. And then let's release, rolling down one vertebrae at a time. Coming all the way down. Maybe you relax through the feet, maybe you keep that engagement through the feet. Beautiful, let's come up. We're gonna come up 2 more times here, so maybe you adjust the feet. I'm gonna walk my feet in a little bit more. Starting to press in, engaging through that core, and starting to lift up. Making sure the knees aren't falling open or falling inwards either, but open is a little bit more common. Having that nice alignment all through the body. Press into those shoulders, activate those elbows, the palms of the hands, pressing extra into the feet, squeeze those glutes, maybe find a little more lift through those hips. And let's roll things down nice and slow. Excellent. Coming all the way down. Letting the tailbone be the last thing to touch in. And let's take our last one here. So always engaging through that core first. Pressing into the feet, lifting those hips up off the ground. Instagram. You've fallen yet again. Pressing those hips nice and high. Maybe you actively reach those hands a little bit closer towards the feet. Feeling that nice engagement. Facebook, you just hang out there. As I add a little fix here. Keep lifting those hips up towards the ground. Nope, lifting those hips up towards the ceiling. There we go. Nice and strong. Keep reaching those hands towards the heels. Maybe you find your edge. Maybe you find that little max that exists, holding nice and strong here. Maybe you even change your arm position. Maybe you move your arms a little bit more out to the side. Just let that feel weird. We often always do this with our arms in the exact same position. So adjusting them just adds different sensation. Beautiful. Okay, let's roll down nice and slow, a little vertebrae at a time. Come on down. And take that little windshield wiper of the knees, dropping the knees from side to side. Excellent. Oh, so good. Today is our extra gentle flow style class. So in keeping things extra gentle, but we still got to work the body. We still got to do those things we don't love in order to grow and change and have those differences. So let's find some stillness. Let's bring those hands back in alongside the body and start to hover those knees over the hips. And we'll just take a quick little twist here. So reach those arms out nice and wide and drop the knees down to your favorite side. We'll do both sides, so it doesn't overly matter if that shoulder is popped up. Try to maybe wiggle and adjust it back down, feeling that rotation through the spine. Maybe the gaze goes opposite direction of the knees. Beautiful. One breath here. And on that exhale, start to press the arms down to help stabilize as you draw those knees back up, over through center, and right on over towards the opposite side, letting them draw down. Maybe gaze goes opposite direction, and keeping that shoulder nice and planted. Just feeling that little twist. Maybe give that upper body just that little wiggle to help settle in. Feeling free to adjust the poses as you need to. Beautiful. Head goes back up towards neutral. Arms pressing gently as the knees swing up over the hips, taking a little moment and holding here. And so one thing we've played around with, this actually might be my new favorite thing, is finding that edge where that low back has engagement, but doesn't lift up off the ground. So maybe you really draw those knees in towards the chest, like we do at the beginning, to feel that low back pressing in, and then engage through the core. So draw that belly button in towards the spine. Let go of the knees. Maybe bring them alongside. You can even do this tucking the hands in underneath. That'll help keep that low back in a little bit longer. And then start to bring those knees over the hips. You'll start to feel that activation through the core, but as well through the low back. So feeling that point where you feel like the low back might start to lift up off the ground. Take that little pause, find that little engagement, and maybe you can find another millimeter or another inch there. So when you feel that lift, that tipping sensation, that's your edge. So let's draw those knees back in, drawing them all the way in. Nice big squeeze. Feel that spine press in, and then let's take a few of these now. So finding that edge. Maybe it's legs nice and long. Maybe it's knees right over hips. Draw those knees back in. Taking some time working with all those little stabilizing muscles in the low back and with the hips. Just a gentle way of getting into those lower abdominals as well. Draw the knees in. You can work really at your own speed here. So if you want to go really slow, you're welcome to. Or if you want to go a little faster than I am, you are welcome to as well, as long as that low back stays rooted in. If you have your hands underneath those sits bones and you're ready for that extra challenge, you can remove the hands, working through that range of motion. And there is power to bringing this squeeze of the knees in as much as you can without using those hands. That is getting into those hip flexors. That is just getting into the glutes as well, as we were kind of working in that area. All right, let's take 3 more here. So finding that edge and drawing the knees in. A big squeeze. Go find that edge. And draw the knees in. And last one. Feel that edge, keep that connection, and draw the knees in. Wrap the hands around the knees. Feel that body relax, that tension. Right here, you can take that little rock from side to side. Great way to work the low back muscles. Getting into some of those lower core muscles. All sorts of wonderful things. All right, we're gonna roll up to seated now. So if you wanna just rock and roll up, giving that spine a little massage, or roll onto your favorite side and press up gently. Excellent. Spinning around. Sitting nice and tall, whatever comfortable seated position works best for you. So whether that be the cross-legged or legs extended, your choice. Excellent. Just checking to see if there was a pose comment. All right. Let's just roll through the shoulders. Maybe you do shoulders together, maybe you do opposite. Just rolling them back, starting to wake up through those shoulders. Maybe you feel that into the neck a little bit, just rolling through. I feel like oftentimes our shoulders kind of get a little bit left out in our little yoga class. And this is like a specific shoulders and arms day. So that's why I love to bring some attention to them. I also teach a decent amount of hips focused class, which doesn't include the shoulders, although the whole body is important. All right, let's find a little bit of stillness. Shake it out, come on back. Let's take a big inhale breath here. I'm getting nice and tall. And take that exhale nice and slowly. One more big breath in. And exhale, release. Let's inhale, sweep those arms up, connecting some movement in with the breath now. So inhale, reach up nice and tall. Exhale, draw those hands towards the heart center. And releasing it down, take that inhale, sweep it up. Big breath in, exhale, hands to heart. Moving through maybe one or two more. Nice inhale. Take that exhale. Let's inhale, sweep it up and hold. Reaching those fingertips nice and tall. I'm gonna come in so that my hands are facing forward, kind of making like those little moose ears and interlacing the thumbs. Facebook got really light, so you can't quite see that, but reaching it up, finding that extra bit of length. And let's tip on over towards the left, just a little side bend, getting into those obliques and the side body, and start to feel that nice stretch. Notice, are you hunching into the shoulders? Can you draw the head nice and long? Maybe that means bending through the elbows, or maybe that means finding that extra stretch and reach. Maybe gaze goes up towards the ceiling. That'll help roll that right shoulder back. And let's come on up towards center. Reach it up, nice big stretch. And right on over towards the other side. Side bend over towards the right. Finding that length through the head. Finding that reach through the arms. Holding here, feeling that engagement. So good. Let's come on back up. Reach it up, nice and tall. Draw those hands to heart center. Give those arms and shoulders just a little bit of a break. Beautiful. Let's inhale, sweep it right on back up. It was just a quick little break. Bring those hands up. Maybe this time you come to steeple, or just playing around with a different hand position. Finding that length through the head, and then drawing those arms maybe a little bit longer, or maybe even bringing those hands a little bit farther back. For more ease, you can bring the hands a little bit more forward. That'll be a little more gentle on the body. Let's tip on over towards that left. One more little side bend. Maybe you add a little bit of pulse here. Playing around with anchoring in through those sits bones and through the legs. Working with that mid-range and that end range. So not always going to the edge, but spending most of the time mid-range and activating. Beautiful. Let's sweep all the way back up. Reach it up and over towards the right. Maybe add a little pulse in here. Beautiful. So good. Let's come on back up, reach it up, and start to draw those hands forward, planting them right down in front of the legs. Maybe this is your max, or maybe even plant them right on top. Roll those shoulders back and down. And then let's work towards our forward fold. So wherever that's at for you, maybe you just nice and slowly get into it, wiggling the fingers a little bit farther forward, And keeping the back nice and straight. And so it's about feeling that little bit of pull or that little sensation through that low back area and a little bit in towards the hips, depending on where your tension's hanging out. Will depend where you're at there. So planting those hands down. Maybe you have just that gentle tuck of the chin to extend the crown of the head nice and long. Wherever your hands are at, see if you can create that little pull sensation through there. That'll help lengthen through the body. Nice. Inhale. Full exhale. See if you can press that tailbone a little bit farther down in towards the body. Beautiful. Start to press into those hands to walk yourself back up. And coming back up to that seated position, delightful. Maybe you press your hands in back behind you and you switch the feet, opposite foot in front or on top. And finding that little adjustment, or with helping hands, you find that little movement, that little adjustment. And let's inhale, sweep those arms up, bringing palms to touch. And then spinning the palms outwards, lowering the hands down on that exhale, staying nice and wide and long through those fingertips. Inhale, palms come on up, reaching it up. Exhale, hands come down. Beautiful, one more nice inhale, reaching it up so nice and tall. And take that exhale, come down halfway. And so hanging out in that little T position, so good. Let's bring palms facing forward. Give yourself a little thumbs up because I think you're awesome. Extend those fingers back out nice and long. And then bring hands out in front. Bring hands to touch. Maybe you start to lift one arm and crossing over. Maybe you give yourself a little hug and squeeze. If you can't help but give yourself a little hug here, bending through the elbows. Let's reach it back out. Opening up. Let's find a little bit of extra openness here. So see if you can keep the hands at shoulder height and squeeze those hands back a little farther. Feel that opening through the heart center. And take that exhale and start to come, have opposite hand come on top. And giving yourself maybe that nice big hug and squeeze, or you can just keep the arms trying to cross, extended nice and long. But a little self-love is important. Beautiful. We're going to take two more of these. So take that big reaching open and see if you can find that little extra. Maybe you squeeze through the back shoulder blades. Beautiful. Take that exhale. Start to draw hands together. Reaching in for those shoulders. We'll take a little moment and pause here. Let's lift through the elbows. So see if you can start to add a little height in here. Maybe you take that inhale, you add a little back bend in, reaching those elbows up more. So let the elbows be what guides you in that reach up, lifting up of the heart. You'll feel that spine start to arch backwards a little bit. Just a gentle little back bend. And take that exhale, start to drop the elbows down. Maybe you counter that by just a little forward fold, rounding through the shoulders. Let's take that inhale, one more reach up, lifting up the elbows, lift, lift, lift. Maybe gaze goes up towards the ceiling. And keeping that chin just gently tucked in though, not letting the head flop backwards. Reach those elbows a little higher. And take that exhale, a little counter. Dropping elbows down towards the feet. Squeezing those shoulders. And sit back up in that nice neutral position. Notice which elbow is on top. Reach that arm open. Reaching it nice and wide, getting that big squeeze in, and take that exhale and start to close it in, opposite elbow on top now, giving yourself that nice and big hug and squeeze, maybe even wiggling those fingers a little bit farther back and start to lift through those elbows and drawing them upwards. Maybe you come up a little bit higher. Feeling that pull through the shoulders, maybe gaze goes up, lift the heart, feel that little arch through the spine, and take that exhale, start to draw things down, rounding through the shoulders. Beautiful. Inhale, start to sweep yourself back up, and reaching those elbows up. Nice little back bend, so good. And exhale, drop those elbows down, round through those shoulders. Tuck the chin, a little forward fold. Let's find that neutral. Come back up towards seated. Reach those arms out nice and long. Maybe you get that extra bit of squeeze. And exhale, bring the hands back forward, and let's plant them down right in front. And coming into that nice flat back forward fold. So walking those hands out a little bit further, a little bit further, finding that little bit of length. Beautiful. A little tuck of the chin. Maybe create that little pull sensation, finding all that wonderful length. Maybe you actively try to draw that tailbone, pressing back down. One more nice big breath. And take that exhale. Maybe you tuck the chin down. Oh, so good. And connecting in, take one more nice big inhale, nice full exhale. And then start to press into those hands, coming back up, finding yourself in that seated position. Let's spin things around, starting to come into that nice all fours position. Beautiful. Hands hanging out under the shoulders, knees under the hips. And finding the knees to be hip distance apart. Take that inhale, start to look up. Press the belly button down towards the ground and press those hands in. Find that nice length through the crown of the head. Start to tap the chin, rolling the spine upwards towards the ceiling. And pressing into those hands, finding that little extra big stretch on the shoulders. So moving at your own pace, little inhales to look up. You can be as active as you want here, or you can just let it be just a gentle little movement through the body. Beautiful. Let's find some stillness here, finding that nice flat back. And just walk the hands a little bit more forward. Maybe you're coming into your puppy pose, or maybe you sit the hips back coming into your child's pose. So child's pose is hips more back towards the feet. Puppy pose is hips stay over the knees and hands walk forward and heart melts down. So thinking of it as that back bend. Forehead can tap on the ground or nose. Or even chin, but I don't love the chin variation. I find that's overarching through that cervical spine. Arms are active in whichever variation you are, so elbows lifting up off the ground. Beautiful. Let's start to tuck those toes underneath, pressing into those hands. Come on up, find that downward dog. Maybe you pedal it out, getting a nice little stretch in there. Pressing into those arms, finding that nice length. Beautiful. Optional flow here. So you can hang out in your downward dog if you don't want to flow, or you can drop the knees back down. But our flow means coming to that nice plank position. You can drop the knees down for a little bit more ease. I'm going to just back up so I don't smack my head on the plinth. And exhale, lower, letting the elbows graze the ribs. Come all the way down with control. And press into those hands. Take a little back bend. Nice little baby cobra pose. And then tucking the toes under. Pressing up, maybe back through that tabletop position. Extend the arms, tuck the toes. Let's all meet in a downward dog here. So good. Finding that length. Let's look towards the top of the mat. Take a hop, step, or jump, or a couple little steps. Finding a nice little forward fold position. Excellent. Letting the body or the torso just hang heavy. Maybe you feel that through the back line of the legs. Maybe you rub the calves or the hamstrings. And if that's too intensive on the back of the legs, just add a bend to the knees. And all for the fact that knees can bend and embracing that. I have no expectations of really straight legs. Beautiful. Let's take the inhale. Let's come up halfway. Lifting through the heart. Pressing the hands just above the knees. Roll those shoulders back and down. Extend that head nice and long. Let's exhale. Start to bend through the knees. Sinking those hips down. Finding your chair pose. Beautiful. So maybe your chair pose is bracing hands on the knees. Maybe you find a little more Sweeping those shoulders more over the hips, hands at heart center. Take an inhale, lengthen, engage that core. Exhale, sink. Maybe from here you start to sweep those hands more upwards. Reaching up nice and tall. Let's take 2 pulses here. So inhale to reach, straightening through the legs slightly. Exhale, sink it down a little bit lower. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, down. Inhale, reach it up, coming all the way to standing, nice and tall. Reach those arms up, get a nice big stretch. Exhale, drop those hands towards heart center. Let's let those right toes back, coming into a nice warrior 2 position. My favorite is cobbler pose. Okay, seated, reclined, happy baby version. I'll give you options. We'll throw it in, but first finding that warrior 2 position here. There we go. Hip was like, I don't like that. We found it. Excellent. So adding a bend to that lefty. Right leg is working out extended nice and long. Ideally, the feet are at least in line with each other. If not, then the heel would be in line with the arch of that foot. But however you feel stable on your mat, that's the goal. Let's bring those hands onto the hips. Maybe you sink a little deeper. Let's take that inhale, lengthen through the crown of the head, and tuck that tailbone under. So notice, are those ribs like floating forward and almost like everything is spilling out? And can we bring everything in? Find that nice control. Beautiful. And let's reach those arms out if you want a little bit more. Beautiful, warrior 2. Nice and strong. Let's drop that elbow down onto the knee, little extended side angle. So option 1 is hand on the hip, elbow resting on the knee. Option 2, you can still hang out here, but you can work a little harder by bending more into that left knee. Maybe then you're ready for that right hand to reach up. Maybe that right hand reaches nice and long, creating that beautiful line from the fingertips all the way down to that foot. Pressing into those legs that sweep things up. Reach it out. Oh, so good. Let's flip that left palm up. Bringing that right hand onto the hip, the little little teapot, but reverse version, reach that left hand up towards the ceiling and keep bending through that left knee. And if you want, you can slide that right hand down the leg. Excellent. Keep finding that length. Maybe gaze goes up towards the ceiling. If you want a little extra challenge here, you can bring that right hand behind the back. That means that core's got to work a little bit harder. And then let's sweep it back up and reach it out nice and long. Let's give that leg a little break, straightening through the leg. Oh, how's that feeling? Excellent. Let's reach it up, finding that length. So good. Let's exhale, drop those hands back down. Let's start to get a little hamstring stretch. I'm starting to reach that left hand forward. So let it all be about the reach here. I love to just bring my hand onto my hip so I can feel that side body. So reaching, find that reach. Keep rolling that right shoulder open as if your whole body was pressing up against a wall back behind you. Press into the feet, nice and active through those legs here. And then exhale, you can drop that left hand just down wherever it lands. Maybe it's upper thigh. I would avoid directly right on the kneecap, so either going above or below, just having some love for that knee, and keep rolling that right shoulder open. Maybe that right hand reaches back up, pressing into those legs there, so stay so nice and active. Perhaps the gaze goes up to the ceiling, and you remember to smile because you do enjoy yoga. Beautiful. One more breath here. Maybe you find a little length through the head, lengthening through the spine. And let's come out nice and safely, bending through that knee and pressing up. Reach it out. Oh, so good. And let's start to step towards the top of the mat. So aligning shoulders forward and take that nice big hop. Come on up with control. And let's try a little balance pose today. I often end up leaving them out just for time's sake, but they're really important to get into. So starting to wiggle and squeeze those feet in towards the mat. Bring some awareness to the position of the feet. Dropping those heels in, maybe that little rock from forward and back. And then find your stillness, rooting in, and draw those knees outwards like little dials to activate into the outer lines of the legs, and drawing those inner thighs up and in. Roll those shoulders back and down. So finding that strength here. And let's start to shift the weight over towards that left foot, bringing that right foot up. Maybe you just come onto tippy toe, or maybe the knee starts to rise up. Beautiful. And let's start to find some openness through the knee. Bringing the leg out towards the side and planting that foot wherever it likes to hang out. So it can be all the way down, toes still just touching in. And if your balance is poor, or you have weak feet, maybe really hard. Maybe you start to come up a little higher, maybe with a helping hand. Ooh, you fall over, that's an option too. And finding a mark on the floor that isn't moving is helpful. And then you can release that. So here's our little tree pose. I really love tree pose. You can actually do so much in it, and there's so many different levels you can work on. So even here, if you press a little more into that left standing leg, find a little more lift, and then actively press that right foot really hard into that leg so the knee draws open a little more. Maybe you start to bring those arms up, and maybe play around with the gaze, looking more at eye level, or maybe even looking up towards the ceiling. Maybe you find a little box arms, a little shoulder opener. Excellent. From here, you can do fun things like getting to your obliques, and having elbow towards the knee. Maybe falling out of it, totally possible. My balance isn't great today. It must be the sleep or the lack thereof. All right, let's come out of this nice balanced posture. Bring the arms just so wherever it can help you. If you imagine holding onto something, sometimes that helps. Unstick the foot. Knee comes back towards center. And foot plants down with control. Maybe you shake it out. So good. How you feeling? Let's check the time. Ooh, okay, perfect. So good. Let's take that inhale. Reach up. Nice and tall. And take that exhale. Bow things forward, finding that nice forward fold. All right, Dorit, are you with me? Should we take a little flow here? Flow is optional. You can hang out in a forward fold or really anywhere there in between. But I really love them. So let's take that inhale. Find that halfway lift. Find that length through the spine. Let's bend the knees so you can plant those hands down. Take that big step back. Find your downward dog. I always go to downward dog first because I love to give the option for people to find child's pose instead of taking that flow. So if that sounds good and you're in your forward fold, go ahead and step it back. All right, let's come to your plank position. Let's lower things down. Press on up, take that little back bend. Maybe you're hanging out at baby cobra. Maybe you bring the feet a little bit wider. Excellent. Let's bring those feet back. Tuck the toes, press on up. Find that downward dog. Beautiful. If you're in child's pose, let's meet on back. Looking towards the front of the mat. And hopping with the other foot. So if you only ever hop up or step up with one foot first, take that moment, use the other side. Meeting back, forward fold. Excellent. Maybe you activate into the feet here, pressing them down. Maybe you lift the hips up a little bit higher. Let's take that inhale, nice little halfway lift. Exhale, bend the knees, sink those hips down. Finding your chair pose, press in. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale, engage through that core. Draw that belly button in. Then sink it maybe a little lower. Let's take a few little pulses here. Inhale to rise it up. Exhale to sink. Maybe you reach those hands up. Inhale, reaching it up. Exhale, find that chair pose. And send those hips back. Nice and strong. Beautiful. Press all the way up towards standing. Reach, reach, reach. Nice and tall. Exhale, hands to heart center. Beautiful. Stepping back with that left foot and coming into your warrior two position. So I'm going to switch so my back isn't towards you. So left foot points towards the long edge of the mat. The right toe is pointing forward at a bend to that right knee. Hands hanging out on the hips. Roll those shoulders back and down. Have that little tuck of the tailbone, engaging through that core and pressing into the legs. Oh, so nice and strong. Nice inhale and exhale. Maybe sink a little deeper. Keep pressing into those feet. And let's sweep those arms out. Finding that nice reach. Beautiful. Drop that right elbow down, connecting it with the knee. And maybe hanging out, hand on the hip. Maybe you add a little depth here, pressing into the foot. Rolling that left shoulder open. Maybe the hand reaches up. Maybe the gaze goes up. Maybe that hand goes overhead. Finding that nice reach. Keep pressing into the legs. Beautiful. Taking one more full breath here. Let's exhale. Come on back. Warrior two. Reaching it out. So good. Right palm flips upwards. Left hand hangs out on the hip. Keeping a bend to the knee. Start to sweep that right hand up. Finding that nice reach through the side body. So good. Maybe that left hand starts to track down the leg. Or maybe even tucks behind the back for that little extra. Keep bending into right knee. Big breath here. Let's sweep it back up. Warrior two. And let's give that right leg a little break. How's it doing? Straighten through the leg. Beautiful. Reach those arms up. Find that nice big stretch. So good. Exhale. Just bring the arms down. Legs stay straight and still engaging through the legs. So imagine pulling the mat apart, ripping, and having so much strength through those legs. Beautiful. Right hand starts to reach forward. Just keep reaching. Left hand can hang out on the hips or it can hang out outwards. And finding that max where you're feeling it through that right hamstring. And also the max if you couldn't possibly reach anymore. And take an exhale and find the fact that you can still reach a touch more. And then drop that right hand down. Just planting it in wherever it hangs out. Anywhere along the leg. So whether that's up high right at the hip crease or mid-thigh. Avoiding that kneecap. And spinning the left shoulder open. Keep pressing into those legs. And if you want, that left hand can sweep up. You can take that inhale, draw the ears away from the shoulder. So good. One more nice breath here. This is triangle pose. I really love triangle pose. I don't know why. I think you just have rotating favorites. So back in March and April and maybe even May, my favorite was extended side angle. I think it's transitioning into little triangle. All right, let's come out nice and safe. Bending through the knee. Pressing back up, finding that warrior two. And taking that big step towards the top of the mat, aligning the shoulders forward. We'll make that easier. Coming all the way up. Let me rotate around so that we can come into some balance work here. So activating into those feet. Taking little inhales and exhales. Feeling the breath, find that stillness, and draw those knees open. So still activating into the legs here before we really do anything. Roll those shoulders back and down, find a little softness, and start to shift the weight towards that right side. Left toes, and start to come up. Knee maybe comes up a little higher. Find that openness through the hip, drawing the knee outward, and let that foot plant in. Maybe really low, maybe really high. Maybe with a helping hand, you really tuck that foot up. I like the up high just simply because I've got thicker thighs. And so if I can get my heel above that little lump, I find it easier. So that's just why I go for the higher one. We all have our reasons. I thought I'd share mine with you. So bringing that hand maybe to the inside of that knee. Maybe the other hand hangs out on the hip to really try to find that openness. And pressing into that right leg. Keep trying to find that length. And then playing around with your pose. Maybe you extend the arms up. Maybe find some length. You're a nice tall tree. Maybe you hang out in those boss arms, opening up through the elbows. Maybe you try that little oblique crunch, trying to connect elbow down with knee without falling out and pressing all the way back up. It's actually super hard, but it's the journey. Gotta try it. All right, let's reach things out. Relax through those shoulders. And with control, we're gonna come out of this. So let's unstick the foot. Whoop. Bring the knee back towards center and plant that foot down. Feel free to march it out. There can be lots on the feet. Beautiful. Beautiful, delightful, wonderful, and so good. All the things that you'll get in life should be. All right. So standing at the top of that mat. And let's take that inhale and sweep those arms up. Take that nice big reach. And take that exhale, start to fold forward, and coming into that, just a nice little forward fold. Maybe you're hanging out halfway. Maybe you drop the head and the torso. Really, a forward fold is all about hamstring length. There's really nothing more complicated than that. And you can hinge from the hips as much as you want, but if you don't have the length through the back line of the body, then you just don't have the length through the back line of the body. All right. We're going to work our way down onto our mats, but we'll take a little flow to get there, or child's pose, so whichever you want to do. Let's take that halfway lift. Take that exhale, bend the knees, plant the hands, step with that opposite foot back. Finding that nice downward dog. You can drop the knees here, taking that child's pose. Or we can take our last little flow of the class, coming to plank, lowering down, and finding the back bend. Tucking the toes, pushing it back. Either finding downward dog or dropping the knees, meeting in that child's pose. Taking a full breath here. Take that nice inhale, nice exhale. Beautiful. Pressing into those hands. Let's start to come up and forward. And let's come into a seated position. Bringing the soles of the feet together, letting the knees start to fall open. Donna, we'll just do cobbler pose every way I can think of it. So hanging out here, maybe you reach for ankles or even the knees, as long as you can find some length through the spine. This gets into the inner thighs. If the knees are super high up, that's okay. Maybe you just walk the heels a little bit farther away from the body. That might add a little bit of depth down, but it's really just about letting those knees fall open. It's external rotation of the hips. And then as you press the feet nice and strong, you can feel that on the inner thighs. Excellent. Taking that nice inhale. Full exhale. You're welcome to add the fold forward, maybe cupping the top of the toes. I'm going to just add low rock from side to side. I just like the muscles. I can feel that in through the back. Nice little low back muscles. Beautiful. Take one more nice inhale. And on that exhale, let's come on back up. Let's bring those knees back up towards center. And let's roll on back and down, coming into a nice reclined position. Knees bent, feet planted. And we take an inhale, find some length through the crown of the head. Take that exhale, roll those shoulders back down, and feel the back. Beautiful. One more big breath here. And let's exhale, walking the feet together so you can feel the feet and the knees to touch. And then let the knees fall open for that little reclined cobbler pose. Should you not want the reclined cobbler pose, like some people love it and some people just don't really get much out of it or find discomfort, like severe discomfort in it. And so there's the opposite version. So cobbler pose deals with that external rotation. Or if you'd rather, keeping those knees up high, walking those feet farther apart, maybe even towards the edges of the mat, and then let the knees fall inward. You can get the opposite,
a little teepee pose that gets internal rotation of the hip. We've got a little twist happening on the knee, a little torque happening. So just being mindful of that. Feels really good to get some extra or some internal rotation as well. So those are our options for that. Holding here for another full breath or two. And then on that next exhale, we're turning the knees back up to neutral. Maybe just heel toeing the feet back in. Let's hug the knees in towards the chest. Taking that nice big squeeze, really trying to draw the knees in as close as possible. And then maybe you reach on through the knees for the feet, coming into that happy baby. Making sure that head and the shoulders stay down as you lift the feet up towards the ceiling. Knees draw in towards the shoulders, towards the body. You can add that little rock from side to side here. And here's that little freestyle portion of the class. So if there's another pose or movement you want to play around in, maybe you want the little happy baby cobbler pose, maybe you want to extend the legs nice and long, getting more into those hamstrings. Maybe you want a little waterfall pose. I don't know, I just love to offer some time that allows you to explore your freedom, explore some movement the way that you want to, letting the body feel really good, encouraging a little playfulness. Excellent. And then when you're ready, you can find that final pose, that final Shavasana. Maybe you just lay everything down in that traditional pose, or however you find yourself, as long as you can take a full breath and are comfortable, sounds good to me. So I'm gonna roll on up to seated. Make sure that I fit everything in. Oh, look at that. Delightful. Start to connect in with that breath. I roll up to seated just simply so I don't fall asleep in Shavasana. So you take your time and enjoy. Maybe you scan through the body and noticing how you feel after a little bit of movement. Starting to feel that connection. Noticing all the little muscles and tendons and connective tissue. Maybe you also notice the bones and the joints. How is everything feeling? Maybe you take a big inhale, filling the lungs. And you take that exhale and you soften. Trying to release any bit of tension you can using that nice exhale. Outstanding. Beautiful. Well, this is where I will leave you to take all the time you need for your Shavasana. I do encourage you just to connect in and take some moments of stillness, of silence if that exists around you, or you can create it trying to tune things out. And this is where I thank you, honestly, from the bottom of my heart for tuning in to all of my yoga videos. It's been wonderful to get to know you guys or even see your comments. It's actually very delightful. And stay tuned for what's to come and other programs and free classes that I will always try to make available to you guys when I have time to jump them in. So I hope you have a beautiful rest of the day filled with moments of joy. And I pray that you are always blessed. Thank you and namaste. Excellent. You guys are amazing, just the very best. Let me just turn this one off first. Are you sure? And you guys, bye Facebook world.